Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com, where music comes to life. And my guest today began as the guitarist in the band Riot, one of the most infamous bands in rock history. Nearly 40 years later, he's continuing their legacy with his band Riot Act. They're about to release their debut album, Closer to the Flame, on April 1st. Please welcome Rick Ventura. Welcome, Rick.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And normally when I do an interview, we start off with the new project because that's what you're here for.
Right.
But I don't think we can talk about Riot Act without first setting the foundation of Riot. And you came into that band and as they were recording their second record, Narita, in around 78, 79. And you replaced Lou Cavaris, who went on decades later to form Riot Act with you. Riot had the reputation of being one of the most unluckiest bands in rock history, with labels and members and timing and just everything else. In a nutshell, can you just kind of talk a little bit about what went on in Riot that led eventually to you and Lou coming together as Riot Act?
What went on in Riot? Wow, so much. There was so much fun and so many hardships. From like you mentioned, issues with labels, dropped by a label, picked up by another. There was always constant issues with labels and management and getting the right members. There's quite a few lineup changes until the right combination of people came together, and most people view that as the Fire Down Under period. But I happen to like Narita, so each album has its own special quality, and I think the playing on both albums is excellent. It's a certain sound. Each album has a certain sound with those various members. Yeah, I came in on the second album, and throughout the years, I remained friends with Lou. We'd run into each other throughout the years, and just decades later, we hooked up again, and through with it. Really came about when the Heavy Metal Hall of History inducted Riot. Lou and I were there, and we were honored and shocked, actually. It's like after all these years, the band was recognized. So that's how Lou and I sort of got together. It's just nonstop ups and downs with this band, losing members, tragic death. It's kind of unbelievable. I just hope it's over.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we lost Lou at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate because we were so excited about working together because we never played together. I replaced him, and that was it. But we were always friendly to each other, and when we finally got together a few years ago and decided to do this, when we were playing those old songs, we just had a smile on our face. We just looked at each other, go, wow, we sound so good together. Our guitar styles were so perfect, and the song sounded really good. So we were so excited about the new project. And I felt bad because he would always call me, or if I run into him, he goes, "Oh, we should do this. We should get together." But I never followed through. But I'm glad I did. For the short period we got to play together, we did. There's a bonus CD on the new record. It's a 2 CD set, so the bonus has 12 Riot tunes from the first 3 records, and Lou's on there, and we're on there playing together. So that'll be a treat for fans and a tribute to him, actually.
And those new recordings sound fantastic. I mean, it has the same energy, but with a modern production and modern sound.
Right.
Who else joined you guys in the band, not only on the bonus disc, but on Closer to the Flame?
Oh, the band consists of Claudio Galinsky on drums, Paul Ranieri on bass, and Don Chafin on vocals. Hmm. And the way the band came about, I was playing with Paul and Claudio at the time. So when they said, "Wow, you know, we're gonna let's do this project," and I said, "Well, I'm playing with these guys here. You know, let's try it out." You know, so we all got together at my place. In fact, right here, right back there, we tried it out, and it sounded so good. There was so much enthusiasm, and it's interesting. Claudio, the drummer, he knew about Riot and me. You know, so I was like, when I first played with him, I was like, oh wow, I was like kind of surprised. So he was always a fan and knew everything. He would tell me stuff that I didn't even know. You know, bands that Riot influenced. He always mentioned Lars from Metallica and so many other bands. And I was like, oh really? Wow. So he really opened my eyes to some of this. But when we all got together and played, it just sounded so good. And through a friend of Lou's, luckily we found Don on vocals, which is, you know, that was always my struggle, finding a singer that could. I had so many ideas and so many songs that I had written, and I would always have difficulty in finding a singer that could put them across. And it's just a miracle that we found Don, because he just brought everything to life. The old tunes, the new tunes, and it was cool hearing the old tunes updated with modern technology. They sound so powerful. So that was kind of cool doing it for that reason.
And the new tracks, you know, when you listen to the CDs sort of, you know, melded together, if you put it all on shuffle, it sounds continuous. It doesn't sound like, oh, that's an old song that got re-recorded and this is a new band. Was it important to you as you were putting the songs for Closer to the Flame together to sort of keep that sonic identity of Riot, you know, that sort of 70s guitar rock sound, and even, you know, the vocal is pretty close?
Yeah, you know, it's really, I'm really not conscious about doing that. I just write the way I write. I come out with riffs, changes, and just in me. That's the style of music that I grew up on. That's what I like to play. So it wasn't like, oh, let me try to recreate what we did there, because I never wanted to do it. This is just my style of what I do, and this is the kind of music I like, and this is how I play, and that's all it was. And it comes across in the bonus CD when we do the Riot stuff, because obviously I played on that stuff, so it's going to sound a certain way. It's just updated. And then we started writing originals and recording them during the same time period. Through the whole pandemic, we did both. We started the 12-song EP. We started that a little bit before the pandemic, but then we finished it during the pandemic. Unfortunately, Lou passed away during the pandemic in March, 2 years ago this month. And so that was, you know, just devastating. We didn't do anything for many months, but we got back on the wagon and started to write. I just had a lot of music in me. I wanted to get out there, and everybody else, you know, wanted to play, and I'm so fortunate. We're so fortunate to find Don to deliver these songs, because he captures. He didn't even know much about Riot. He heard about the band because, you know, we'd ask him, and he goes, you know, I recall Swords Tequila, but he didn't really know much about the band. So it wasn't like he was a big fan. Yeah, like I have to try to sound like this. He just, when we auditioned him, he just sounded right. It was freaky, actually. Lou and I just looked at each other. This is just too good to be true. It's just, I was like in heaven. I'm going, for years, I'm trying to find a singer that can deliver the songs that have been ideas I've had, and this guy just appears. So the timing was just so right on the money, you know. Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's better, like I said, that you got somebody who wasn't real familiar with the songs and didn't come in saying, okay, I need to sound like Guy, I need to do this kind of vocal style. He just came in and brought himself to the songs, and that's what makes them good.
Yeah, he related to them. He really liked the songs. When I was, I was playing them the tunes. He goes, "Wow, these guys had really good songs." He really got into them, and he liked Guy, and so that was kind of cool. He really respected Guy and wanted to do justice to the songs. He was very conscious of that, because we were in the studio, he would say, "Hey Rick, how am I doing here?" And it's just going. It was freaky for me being in the control room and watching him. So he would sing a line and going, "Oh my God, this is just too weird." It just took me back to those days. And it just sounds so refreshed and powerful, with the new technology. So it was really cool to do that. And it just carried over into the new disc. The songs just have that hard rock style that I grew up on and I always played. I guess it just comes across.
We talked about how, kind of unlucky the band has been over the years. I mean, really been kind of snake bit. And, the tragedy of the band, losing founding member Mark Reale, losing Guy Speranza and Rhett Forrester, and then Lou. After Lou, did you ever think, okay, maybe I need to make this something different and kind of let go of the Riot legacy? Or did you think, no, I need to keep the Riot legacy to honor all of those people?
Yeah, I really did not want to go there. And it just started, it just happened, the way this whole situation, and I guess you can't get away from the past. I was associated with Riot, so it's always going to be there. It's, people are going to say, well, hey, oh, you were in Riot, so let's hear some old Riot stuff. I mean, that's just the way it is. As much as at times I just didn't want to go there and just not even reference Riot, but I had to. It just happened, so that's just the way it is. But when Lou passed away, I was like, after losing Guy, Rhett, Mark, and Lou, it was like, this is a continuation of this. Maybe I shouldn't not be doing this. It enters your mind. But everybody liked the name of the band, and everybody's saying, "Oh, you guys, you have to keep going. You guys were really good. I really like what we heard." We had performed at the Heavy Metal Hall of History 2 years ago. It was the only time we ever played as a band. And if you want to catch it, it's on Amazon Prime. So we do 2 Riot songs there, and we sounded good, and it was so much fun to play because we hadn't played, and we still haven't performed live since then. So due to the pandemic, so we decided to continue with the name, and we decided to continue just as a 4-piece. So we didn't get another guitar player and try to emulate what was, because I just don't like to do that. I said, okay, this is an original band. This is what we're doing. Of course, we're going to play some old Riot songs, but we're going to go as a 4-piece band, and we're just going to sound the way we sound now. And that's what this new record's about.
And you mentioned playing live. Now that things are clearing up a bit and places are opening up, do you have plans to hit the road with Riot Act?
Yeah, finally, we have dates in August and September.
Great.
We're going to England and Spain, so we're excited about that. And hopefully end of September, October, we'll be playing in the States. So that's going to be a blast.
Well, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And, we live in a strange time where there are multiple versions of a lot of classic bands.
Right.
And, with you guys, there's Riot 5, which were the guys playing with Mark at the time of his passing that continued on. And, oddly enough, there isn't really a competition, it might not be the correct word, but a rivalry between you guys. You guys all get along and play different versions of what Riot was.
Yeah, it's different periods. We do get along. In fact, I want to mention Mike Flint's the guitarist from Riot 5. He appears on the bonus disc. So he plays on 49er. We asked him to play because he's a really great guitar player and he's a really nice guy. So we're friends with him. And I was fortunate they had asked me a few years back in 2016 to perform at Loud Park in Japan, a big festival. And we performed the Fire Down Under album, the entire album. And that was a blast. They asked me to do it. And so it's kind of started from that and the induction into the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame that sort of brought this all to life. It's just sort of just happened, it was kind of, weird, but they're great guys, a great band. And Mark had continued the band into a much heavier direction and Riot 5 continued after Mark's passing. The way that was is Mark's father actually wanted the band to continue because they were torn on whether to do that too. So that's the story with the band. Fans I think will like both eras of the bands, but it's just, it's weird. It's like Deep Purple. There's so many incarnations of Deep Purple, and some people, that's not really Deep Purple without Richie Blackmore, and it's like it happens, but luckily, we get along. Who knows? We might even do dates together in the future. So
get the whole history of Riot, within the two bands.
Yeah. It's an interesting history for the band. Very unusual.
And one thing I have to ask, because, as we were talking before this, I remember those Riot records coming out when I was a kid, and, listening to them. But one thing that's always haunted me since childhood, what was up with the seal?
I always get that. Yeah. Well, at that time, I think the mascot was a big thing. And, I don't know if Iron Maiden started it with Eddie, and we came out about the same time period, and our managers came up with the idea. It really was not the band's idea, they came up with it, and so that's how it happened. And it just got bigger and bigger, and it took over the entire album covers. So that's really how it happened.
And the seal is nowhere to be found with Riot Act, correct?
No, he's gone.
So we've been spending some time here with Rick Ventura. The band is called Riot Act. The record, Closer to the Flame, it's out April 1st. It's just a great rock and roll record. Brings you back to the guitar-driven sound of the 70s. It's a fun record to listen to. Comes with a bonus disc of re-recorded Riot classics. And Rick, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about all this.
My pleasure. Thank you. And I'll just mention, if anyone want to check out our site, riotactband.com, and we'll keep you up to date on tours and all the shenanigans that we every day that we do.
Yeah, can't wait to catch you on the road.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff. Take care.
Bye.